Now for your forecast first, WRBL News 3 First Alert Weather.
All right, so we're talking about a very active morning when it comes to rain. So you know how that could be when you have heavy traffic. That's one of those mornings, and that's why we're weather aware in the morning. We're going to talk more about that. A wet commute and more on this very active weather pattern coming up in your First Alert 7-day forecast. You're watching WRBL News 3 on your side.
Straight ahead, Columbus police investigating the city's third homicide within the last 36 hours. We'll have details of the latest act of violence. Next, how one of Monday's shooting victims, a businessman gunned down while making a bank deposit, is being remembered tonight. Plus, the road to the lieutenant governor's office runs through Columbus tonight as a Democratic candidate makes a stop. You'll meet him. News 3 Nightwatch starts right now.
On your side, this is News 3 Nightwatch.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for trusting News 3. I'm Teresa Whitaker. Take extra care on your drive to work in the morning. We'll be weather aware as heavy rainfall and windy conditions move through our area. Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswal has a look at what we can expect. Bob.
And good advice, Teresa. It's always a low enough time kind of morning, and we should do that every morning, of course, but especially tomorrow. You know how the roads get, and especially a little bit of standing water on the road, you know what happens. So it's going to be very active. The system to the south, the front, is going to lift north a little bit. You can see here. So once this energy moves north, it's going to pretty much continue to redirect. There's mist out there now. So if you're driving right now, it's just windshield wipers, that light mist. The deer are enjoying it. I see a lot of them out there this evening, especially in those rural areas. So keep that in mind. So that's what we're talking about tomorrow. Here's another radar scope. We put the blue overlay on it. The light blue is the very light, misty stuff I'm talking about. Some of it a little bit heavier near Bluffton right now, and down near Fort Gaines, you got some showers headed your way. Now, the severe risk Wednesday is almost negligible, so that's some good news. What we're looking at is generally maybe a few thunderstorms. That would just enhance the amount of rainfall and make the morning commute annoying, kind of aggravating. So if you want to see the rest of this, I'm tracking it now for your morning commute, and we'll talk about weather aware Saturday afternoon through Sunday at WRBL's radar app, and you can download it. Stay connected through Google Play or the App Store. It's there for your liking. Teresa.
All right, thank you so much, Bob. Columbus police are investigating a homicide tonight, the city's third in just 2 days. Columbus police responded to Park Properties on Far Road around 7:45 tonight after receiving reports of a shooting. Police confirmed one victim was killed in the incident. The person's identity is not yet available. This is the city's 67th homicide so far this year. Stay with News 3 on air and online as we continue to gather details in this ongoing investigation. We're learning more details tonight about the victim of Columbus's 65th homicide, a businessman gunned down while trying to make a bank deposit. The victim's family says the day was supposed to be a happy one as his daughter celebrated her third birthday. News 3's Sacra Gray has that story.
What was supposed to be a day of celebration is now marked by heartbreak as the family now mourns the loss of Amit Kumar Patel, a father, husband, and friend. The family says, quote, Amit was one of the most loving, calm, and gentle souls we knew, and if you had the opportunity to meet him, you would know the warmth of a great man and father, end quote. Amit was the primary breadwinner for his family, and now his family is left without a steady source of income. His wife, Roshni Patel, now faces the task of being the sole caregiver for his 3-year-old daughter, 91-year-old handicapped grandmother-in-law, retired father-in-law, and disabled mother-in-law with polio.
It's just really a sad situation when a man can wake up in the morning, tell his family, I'll see you when I get home, I love you, go to the bank to make a deposit, and get assaulted from a gunshot wound.
45-year-old Patel was shot in broad daylight on Monday around 9:30 a.m. He was the owner of the Chevron gas station on Buena Vista Road, just about a mile from the scene of the crime. During the holiday shopping season, local leaders are encouraging folks to be hyper-vigilant as they enter and exit malls, banks, and other places of business.
It's kind of backwards because there's so much joy in so many different places during the holidays. But there's also, it's also an opportunity for people who are trying to maybe not do positive things. So yeah, we would urge people to continue to be vigilant, make sure they look very carefully around their car before they go to get in it. And likewise, when they're getting out of it, just be aware of their surroundings.
December 6th is a date Patel's little girl may never forget. The day she turns 1 year older also marks the day her father is no longer able to watch her get older. The Patel family is now leaning on the community for help. The Amit Patel GoFundMe page already has over $20,000 in donations, but they're still short of their goal. Organizers say every penny counts to help support the grieving family. Reporting in Columbus, Sacra Gray, WRBL News 3 on your side.
Two other news now. A Democratic candidate in the running to become Georgia's next lieutenant governor brought his campaign to Columbus tonight. State Representative Derek Jackson is a three-term Democrat currently representing an Atlanta district that includes parts of Fulton and Fayette counties. He is the vice chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, the largest caucus of black state legislators in the nation. Jackson says his campaign is based on the belief that Georgia can do better when it comes to health care, economic equity, voting rights, public education, and justice. He says it all comes down to one value: democracy.
The reason why I'm running is for democracy. With democracy, you can have a great healthcare system. With democracy, you can have a public education system. With democracy, you should have the ability to vote.
Jackson is part of a crowded field of Democratic candidates, including State Representatives Eric Allen and Renita Shannon. Republican State Senators Burt Jones and Butch Miller have also announced campaigns to replace outgoing incumbent Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan. To Alabama now qualifying for the 2022 election is open for Democrats, and Russell County Sheriff Heath Taylor wasted no time filing the paperwork. Taylor qualified this afternoon to seek his fourth term as the county's highest-ranking law enforcement officer. The 54-year-old Taylor has 3.5 decades of law enforcement experience, most of it with the Russell County Sheriff's Office.
I really think that our community and the world that we live in today has to have senior leadership in law enforcement that understands both sides of the aisle and can bridge the gap between what everybody's asking us to do.
Taylor faced opposition 12 years ago, but was not challenged in the last two elections. As we head into the break, we want to thank you again for trusting News 3. Coming up, President Biden has a warning for Russian President Vladimir Putin. The details of today's high-stakes summit coming up in 2 minutes.
News 3 is on your side with Teresa Whitaker, Phil Scoggins, Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswald, and Sports with Rex Castillo. on your side. You're watching WRBL News 3 Night Watch.
President Biden held a high-stakes video call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. Natalie Brand is at the White House with details about what the two discussed, including how the U.S. could potentially respond if Russia invades Ukraine.
Good to see you again.
President Biden spent around 2 hours talking with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The White House says he made his position clear.
President Biden was direct and straightforward with President Putin, as he always is. He reiterated America's support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
U.S. intelligence has warned of a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine as soon as January, with 90,000 Russian troops gathered at the border. A move Russia also took in 2014 prior to invading Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula.
President Biden looked President Putin in the eye and told him today that things we did not do in 2014, we are prepared to do now.
The White House says President Biden made clear that the U.S. and allies would respond with strong economic and other measures if there's military escalation. The president has also been in contact with European allies to talk about a coordinated approach.
We have made clear to Moscow that we will respond resolutely, including with a range of what we have called high-impact economic measures that we've refrained from using in the past.
The U.S. says it will continue to supply support to Ukraine's military as well as NATO allies in Eastern Europe. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
You're on the Night Watch. There's more news ahead. Bob has your first alert forecast coming up in about 3 minutes.
Hurt by big truck? 1-800-CALL-KEN.
One call, that's all.
On your side, Chief Meteorologist Bob Jeswald has your first alert forecast.
Drizzle, rain, kind of pesky at times when you're driving. You know what I'm talking about? The windshield wiper goes on and it doesn't really, and then you shut it off, you got to keep it going, but it's just not enough rain just yet. But tomorrow morning's commute, that will change. Here's a live picture right now from the Phoenix City Amphitheater. At a glance, we're going to be talking about a sloppy, wet commute. We're weather aware for that reason. it's a wet start. It's busy in the morning, midweek, all that stuff. Busy, hurry, bustle, and all that kind of stuff. Keep that in mind. Moderate to heavy rainfall at times. If there's some thunder with it, that'll just increase the rate of rainfall. Some gusty winds too. And then we'll be focused in the extended forecast with those Saturday afternoon storms coming up. Here's a live look right now of the satellite and radar. Believe it or not, this is snow south of St. Louis and between Memphis. That's how cold that air is. So you got a collision course of two air masses here. To the north, high pressure is kind of driving that a little bit farther south in the deep south. Down south, we have this front that came through the other day and it's stalled. And it's going to lift northward, and it's just going to keep that energy going, right, for that morning commute. So right now it's kind of drizzle all over. The radar's picking it up, more numerous across Harris County, parts of Chattahoochee County, Muskogee, back across Lee County and the eastern portion of there. Southern Russell and Barber, back around Stewart. If you're in Lumpkin, you guys are getting some showers coming up right into areas around Sly, Webster counties as well. So once this kind of lifts up, watch what happens to that energy to the north. That kind of folds a little bit south. It allows everything to come in here in place. So everything will be tracking right north of that front. Montgomery, heavy rain. So if you have any travel in that morning commute, look what we're looking at here at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Bam, that's heavy rain. So allow enough time is what we're saying. That's why we're weather aware. That's what weather aware could be unsettled, disruptive. By the afternoon, great. We got the sun coming out. It dries out a little bit. We got the much needed rain we need. So this is a positive weather aware forecast. Let's put it that way, as long as we take time in the morning. That's all I'm saying. So we get into Thursday, more sun and clouds mixed together and very warm. We're talking upper 70s, but look what happens. Friday, we got a weak system ahead of this. That energy will bring in a smattering of a shower, but Friday not a complete disaster here. But the Colorado storm system coming out of the Rockies, a big snowstorm to the north, and we're looking the southern part of this as it starts moving into New Mexico. That's our weekend severe weather setup for portions of the deep south. Likely tornadoes across Mississippi and western Alabama. We have to watch it for our area, and we're weather aware for that reason because I think there's still a good setup. If anything, again, disruptive weather in the middle of a Saturday afternoon. You got a lot going on, hustle and bustle. Keep that in mind, and we're going to be all over it. We got half an inch of rain, if not greater, coming up in this forecast Wednesday morning. And by the time it's all said and done Wednesday, we could end up with an inch. So you know it's going to be heavy rain at times. And again, right along this line where you see where the cold air meets the warm air, that's what I'm talking about. Chilly low 50s here from Troup County back across Meriwether, parts of Harris and Lee and Chambers. You get farther south, it's in the 60s. That dividing line where it intersects, that's where all that more energy is going to erupt, meaning showers, persistent. Training over the same areas, standing water until the commute is over. We get the breaks of sun in the afternoon, get some low 60s out there, a little gust of wind. That's where we're weather aware. Thursday looks good. Friday, not a bad day either. 76. Oh boy, upper 70s here Saturday, and that's why that should time out with some thunderstorms. Some of those severe across central Alabama. By the time you move a little farther east, we got to keep an eye on that system. And then it clears out in time for your second half of Sunday. Maybe all of Sunday. Hopefully it comes in quicker and a great cooler next week in that first alert forecast, Teresa.
All right, Bob, thank you so much. Stay with us here on the Night Watch. Just ahead, the long road back from COVID-19. A teacher shares her story after being hospitalized for 88 days.
on your side. You're watching WRBL News 3 Night Watch.
A Lee County mother is regaining her ability to walk and breathe after spending 88 days in the hospital battling COVID-19. She spoke to News 3's Elizabeth White about her long road to recovery.
44-year-old Jennifer Ox is a loving wife, mother of 3 boys, grandmother, and now COVID-19 survivor.
She's the toughest person I know, strongest person I know.
Ox got sick July 3rd. A week later, she was in EAMC's ICU.
I remember having horrible trouble breathing. I couldn't breathe at all. And I do remember FaceTiming with my kids right before I went on the ventilator.
Sedated for 2 weeks, Ox then spent another 55 days on the vent, followed by inpatient rehab.
I couldn't move. I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't scratch my face. I couldn't do anything.
The muscle was completely, all of her muscle was completely gone.
I came home October 1st and had to go back in a week later because I did have clots in my lungs, and so I had to go through that procedure to have those removed.
With each setback, Faith family, her medical and physical therapy team kept her going. Ox can now stand and move using a walker.
Praise the nurses in the ICU at East Alabama, above and beyond every single one of them.
The couple was not vaccinated and remain unsure about getting it.
I want to talk to my primary care doctor. I want to follow up with my pulmonologist and see what they think, and go from there. We just really aren't sure.
What is solid is the love this family shares and their desire Ox's recovery will provide hope to others. Reporting in Lee County, Elizabeth White, WRBL News 3 on your side.
Ahead now in sports, the Heisman Trophy finalists were announced this week, and some Alabama players made a case for their quarterback, right, Rex?
Yeah, Teresa, this season it's hard to deny that Tide quarterback Bryce Young has been one of the best players in all of college football. After the break, we'll hear from his teammates on why number 9 should win the Heisman. That's coming up next.
on your side. Sports Director Rex Castillo and WRBL News 3 Sports.
Bryce Young had to step into the shoes of Mac Jones as starting quarterback. All Jones did was he led the Tide to an undefeated season that was capped off with a national championship. And all Young did was become a Heisman Trophy finalist. So let's take a look at the resume for Young this season. So far in 2021, number 9 is thrown for over 4,000 yards and 43 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. Now, many experts believe his, quote, Heisman moment could be his entire performance against the incredible Georgia Bulldog defense. Before last Saturday, the Dogs were giving up less than 7 points per game. Young and the Tide's offense put up 41 points against Georgia, and in that game, Young threw for 421 yards and 3 touchdowns. Enough from me. Here's what Young's teammates think.
You know, if you just go back and watch the whole season from beginning to right now, Bryce is very smart, very instinctive. He can make plays even in the toughest situations. You know, he can get away from getting sacked and everything. And his preparation the whole week and his leadership skills, I think that's what it takes, you know, just being a leader.
He's had an incredible season. He's done a lot of great things, helped the team out in very tremendous ways. And he's just been a big part to the offense and the team totally.
Well, how about some high school basketball? Shaw going across the river to face Central. Jump to the third quarter. Jalen McKinsick loses the handle, and well, Cameron Thomas, right place, right time, all over. Y'all, she goes down the court, but check out the moves here. Euro step, bucket is good. Shaw trails 25-18. Early in the fourth now, just a 3-point game until McKissick lines this thing up, nails it from downtown. Lady Devils go up 30-24. 3 minutes to go now, just a 2-point game. McKissick drives. She will not be denied. Central extends their lead 34-30. Here's your final score. Central holds off Shaw 40-32. After the ladies, it was time for the fellas. New head coach Charles Burkett leading the way for the Red Devils. Let's start with some defense. Jacoby Hill goes on the break. Goes up top until Murphy meets him up top for the rejection. 3:30 left now in the first. Q Billingsley from the corner. This one just a little bit off, but Kamari Sirac with a big boy rebound puts it back. Devils still trail 10-7. Under 30 seconds left. Hill looking for some redemption after getting rejected from the block, right? Well, he lines this up from distance. Yep, it's up. It's pure bottoms. Devils up by 4, and here's your final score. Central holds on for the win, 71-57 over Shaw. Speaking of high school basketball, the 20th episode of the On Your Sidelines podcast tipped off this afternoon, and we welcomed one of the faces of Georgia high school basketball coverage, Kyle Sandy. Now, Kyle Sandy is the founder of the website sandyspiel.com. Here, Sandy gives in-depth coverage of high school basketball all over the Peach State. Sandy himself played high school ball at Sequoia High School. During his time on the hardwood, he noticed there wasn't a ton of coverage or exposure for high school players in general. After all, football dominates headlines in the South. Kyle made it his mission to change that. He travels all over Georgia providing independent coverage for high school games. And on our podcast, he talked about what it's like covering games even in small towns.
Nothing beats small town basketball when it's, you know, 2 good teams going at it and the communities involved. That is what high school athletics all about. And it does give me chills. When it's a big game, it does give me chills and my eyes do get watery, even though I haven't played in an atmosphere like that and forever and ever and ever. If I ever have played in an atmosphere that big, it's a super special moment for me, and I can only imagine how big it is for the student athletes involved.
Check out the full episode on WRBL.com. Guys, that'll do for sports, but there's more news here coming up right after this.
Okay, so we got some rain we're looking at right now. It's that light rain, and it'll be persistent, really, right along Interstate 85 for most of the morning, and some heavier showers and storms down in southeast Georgia. But we're going to see it kind of all merge together and give us some more showers, especially right during that commute in the morning. Temperatures will range anywhere from the 50s, Teresa, but just take your time tomorrow morning.
All right, Bob, thank you so much. And thank you for watching News 3 Night Watch. Good night, everyone. Sleep well.
Good evening, Georgia. I'm John Crow with your Cash 3, Cash 4, and Fantasy Pie Night drawings. First, let's play Cash 3. Your first winning number is 4. That's followed by 3, and your final winning number is 1. Again, if you have numbers 4, 3, and 1, you just won. Now let's play Cash 4 and see if you can win again. Your first winning number is 0. That's followed by 4. Up next, we have 18. Your final winning number is 7. Again, if you have numbers 0, 4, 8, and 7, and any winning combination, you did win again. On to Fantasy 5. Tonight's jackpot is an estimated $606,000. Your numbers are 34, followed by 3. Up next, we have 7. That's followed by 30. And your final Fantasy 5 number is 21. Again, those numbers are 34, 3, 7, 30, and 21. Here are tonight's Cash for Life winning numbers: 13, 31, 36, 45, 59, and the cash ball is 1. Good luck in